feel very, very fortunate. I mean, like I've never gotten to play roles on camera like I've gotten to play in games.
John? You're...
I'm alive. So are you. So's he.
I mean, when I was originally invited to audition for Charles, I was like, no, I'm not Native American. I can't. No, absolutely not. And then I think they asked again. My agent was like, look, they've already recast this role like multiple times. They went through Native American and then black actors, and like the last couple actors they had were of various ethnicities that were not Charles's actual ethnicity. So they are deliberately opening up the casting pool. And I was like, oh man. Okay. And so I went in and did it. And like, I thought I was auditioning for like LA Noire 2. Yeah. Cause I think in the audition, I was like loading barrels of liquor into like a truck or something. Like, you know, like, and I was like, oh, this is like Prohibition era or something. Like, what, like, I don't know what's going on here. And they didn't even tell me when I got to set. No one would tell me what the hell I was working on. And then,
Wow.
And then Rob Weedoff comes up to me. He's like, hey, has anyone told you what you're working on yet? Well, I know now.
I don't know. I'm alive.
Uncle thought maybe he was in some sort of trouble.
Kind of. Just... I don't know. I'm throwing fights for a few dollars.
Charles taught me a lot. Like, to this day, there's definitely moments where, you know, I'll be faced with a challenge and, like, there is the easy way or the comfortable way, and then there's the right way. And Charles is often the voice that encourages me to do it the right way, so... Well, my first full performance capture role ever was Lieutenant Khalil in Black Ops 3. That was my first experience with full performance capture at all, and that was really cool.
You said you would help us. Instead, we lost Ramses, and soon the rest of Cairo!
Khalil, it's not too late.
That was a really fun experience, and the team was awesome. I mean, I got to work with and become friends with like Rachel Kimsey, who kicks ass in that game. A lot of fun. And that was back when like they were still like using glue and like putting actual like dots on your face. So I would like, you know, I would like eat it in a particular moment or a stunt or whatever and like come up and like some of my dots would be on the floor or like they'd be in my mouth or, you know, like some ridiculous thing. But it was a lot of fun. That was a really cool game to work on. I love this about Sucker Punch, and Nate and Billy and that entire team have my undying respect and admiration for this. Like a lot of teams are really great about trying to collaborate, you know, as much as they can. But I don't think I've ever had an experience like Sucker Punches where like, let me see what you do. Just go for it. Usually stuff is laid out and you're like, okay, you're going to sit here. This is going to happen here. You guys have to move over here and da-da-da-da. And while, of course, there are those moments out of necessity, I've also seen a lot of people be like, well, you know, Atsu's just like, you know, completely like her heart is just set on revenge and it's super unhealthy, but Jubei is very balanced. No, Jubei is not balanced at all. He has done, like, they've had a horrible event happen and they dealt with it like this, you know? Mm-hmm. Atsu has used it to fuel her rage, right? And drive her need for vengeance and her need to survive long enough to sate that hatred, right? Jubei, for him, he has survivor's guilt.
How are you alive?
A samurai found me and nursed me back to health. Atsu, I thought you were dead. If I'd known you had survived,
I buried mother and father. And then I sat under the tree.
I'm Quentin Beck, Master Illusionist. And this is Betsy, my business partner, and Cole, my technical advisor. And this is the next generation of entertainment.
I did not expect them to tell Mysterio's story like that. It's interesting. I've had so many fans come up to me and talk about how, his line about, Spider-Man will always be a hero the way Mysterio will always be a villain. It's when we start looking behind the masks that things get messy. How much that line has meant to them.
The name is... The name is... Mysterio.
I asked the team there, I was like, would you guys be willing for me to try something where instead of it being about like, fuck you, Spider-Man, it's actually like a release. Like he's giving up. Fine. Like you want me to be this horrible person, even though I keep telling you that I'm not. I keep trying to be an upstanding guy and you guys just won't let me live that life.
Your friends showed me to the vision you keep in this place.
Like, it's one of those things where unless you're the star, you usually don't get a lot of time with the character before it's like you're on set. So a lot of it was kind of happening, in the moment. I remember being on the mocap stage for, that was an unkind comparison. And the response in the room was really great. And I was like, oh, okay, we found something cool there. You know what I mean?
It's been too long, Wolf.
I've come to free you, my lord.
One of the few video game leads I've ever had the chance to do, and it was awesome. That was an interesting project because the Japanese and English were being kind of recorded almost simultaneously. So there were a lot of times where we would have an ambassador from FromSoft there kind of giving the English translation of what they thought that script was going to be. The work that actors who do dubs do, like the art form that it is. I knew it was hard, but like I didn't appreciate the artistry of it. And that was, I think, a really great punishing, demonstration for me of like just how hard it is and just how much you have to put into it to make it not suck. You know what I mean?
What took you so long?
My heart breaks for Bode every time I think about him. I have such love for him. And there were some moments where I had to fight, like, desperately for him in that game. This idea that Bode was like this kind of evil guy out to like, I'm coming after you, Cal Kestis. I had to make a strong stance of like, I absolutely disagree. I think Bode thinks he's a good guy, and I do believe he's a good guy who was placed into a horrible position.
What about you, new guy? Win this for the credits?
Credits never hurt. But, I have a daughter. Kata. I don't get to see her as often as I'd like, but at least I can provide for her.
I think for a lot of fans of the franchise, Bode gets a lot of hate, and he should, but I don't think he does any of it willingly, and I think that's what really kills me. People talk a lot about, like, oh man, he's a terrible dad, and he does all this horrible stuff, but like, it was totally unnecessary and stuff. I used to be a very different guy, a very violent guy, very, very angry guy. And I've worked very hard to undo a lot of that. And my wife has been a huge part of my growth as a human being as well. But before Survivor, my wife and I had lost our first son in childbirth. And there was a time during that whole struggle where it felt like we were completely alone. Like there was no doctors there. Like our doctors didn't show up for hours and hours. And I would kind of walk around like if my wife was like, would literally collapse from exhaustion, going through everything she was going through. and trying to save our son. And like, I would step outside to kind of be like, is anyone going to help us? You know, and I remember these nurses kind of, I guess they knew that there wasn't much to be done. And there came a moment where I almost made the decision that I was going to start hurting people until a doctor arrived, which is a part of me that I'd left behind a long time ago, or thought I had. I always struggle with that, but I was desperate for someone to save my wife and my son. And I didn't understand why no one would help us. And it really, I came just really close to a point of just like making something happen. And I think it was only for the realization that if I did that, most likely it wasn't going to make any positive difference. And the thing it would do is leave my wife alone, like truly alone. That kind of stopped me. And I wrestled for a long, long time with the idea that in that moment, maybe I had failed him, you know, that I hadn't gone as far as I could have to try to save him. And I think I'll always wrestle with that guilt a little bit. But, and then, you know, much later, I got cast as Bode, and it was my first real role as a father, my first, like, major role where I got to be a dad. And in a way, Bode very gently showed me what would have happened if I had gone down that road. And for no other reason than that, I'll always love him, you know. It was only once we got started with the production that I actually told, like, our writer Aaron, you know, I was like, and I told him about our son, and he was like, "Oh my God, like, I'm so sorry, I had no idea." I think it just allowed me to bring something to Bode that I hope no actor can bring, you know, a knowing and I think a despair. And so I'll always love Bode for that, because I can completely understand how desperate he was.